Margaret and Windsor, and I was kidnapped in 1941 at age 2 and brought to Moulton, Alabama, Lawrence County, and given the name of a twin, Peggy Ann Dempsey. I married a Childers. I still have to use that name. I found out about my kidnapping in late '83 when I was flown out to Larry FLYNT's. I was a candidate in a political campaign to replace U.S. Congressman Larry McDonald, who I had written about in a medical malpractice book, and part of that book was on the murders of Warren and Rosina Matthews and Gene Srokerman. Now, the Matthews were pathologists, forensic pathologists at Piedmont. They were killed in Cobb County, where I lived, Marietta, in Ontario Estates. Their thing, and when they prosecuted it, it's been a weird thing. When they prosecuted it, one of the female witnesses was under hypnosis. Okay, now then I want to go back to Jean Srokerman. She was gunned down in Hardiman's office in Piedmont Hospital, and these things are connected. On Christmas Eve, I think of 76 or 77. My attorney, Eugene Kaiser, former Fulton County, Atlanta district attorney, was my attorney, and there was some seals put on suits filed that should have been prosecuted. They're horrendous. But also, he gave me the file of Gene Srokerman. He was her attorney, and I've put this up before, so I'm going to go because I'll use up my time. What I wanted to say here, I was kidnapped, and this is where they brought me, but this is a gussied-up version of how they looked. They dressed up. They didn't have cars, first of all. They had to go out and get cameras for this. Somebody staged it. This is me, and I believe this was taken in '43, so I would have been 5 years old, I guess. 4 years old. Anyway, I can remember them trying to catch me, and I ran out over this way to the road. I almost got there, and they made me come back, and I was screaming, "I'm not part of your family." And this is Lionel Dempsey, the woman who the twins were born to, born out of wedlock, Peggy and Carl, and both were dead. She murdered them, and the family covered it up. This one's still alive, Jean, and instead of trying to help me, and yes, they did know about it and covered it up. Instead, and so she's guilty of the crime too. But instead of trying to go down and do the right thing, any part of these years, the rest of them are dead. She made a phone call to me, and in essence, she comes after me. So I'm going to leave it at that. But anyway, this is Peggy's birth certificate, and the name I still have to use, the twin. And they changed the birth certificate. When I got the birth certificates from the state of Alabama, Montgomery, the dates of birth were changed, but it was changed on Carl's a lot more than that. And because they didn't have the same birth date that I was given when I was kidnapped and brought there. And so, I mean, that's the birth dates I've used through high school, through everything. So they went back and changed it on the birth certificates of Peggy and Carl. And to try to make it jive, and that the Dr. Irwin, who was a really good doctor, had been delivering babies for years and years, has simply made a mistake in the dates of birth. So I'll go from there. And that's illegal, by the way, for the state of Alabama to mark through and change it. Even says so on the certificate. This is my dad, Edward VIII. He was married to Georgia O'Keeffe's sister. That's my aunt. My mom's Claudia Ruth O'Keeffe, the baby sister. This has all been a lie and a takedown of my father, a beautiful man. This is an imposter or a double gang or whatever you want to call him, a look-alike. And this is Wallace Simpson, American Spy. So they took down my father. His own brother helped. Here he is the year I was born with Roosevelt, who appointed Joe Kennedy ambassador to England, 36 till they kicked him out in 46, after my kidnapping in 41. My own uncle helped with it. Elizabeth has continued it. They're part of the New World Order that kidnapped me, the Illuminati, the Trilateral, whatever, the global government that's using the United Nations as their group now. But I wanted to get, it's the treaties that were signed that are illegal. Too bad that the Brits couldn't secure our border back then when the United States went in as friends and stole everything, including the Queen, and that's me. I'm the legal heir of Victoria II, and it is legal. But I'm a hostage here. So what I wanted to get to here, I wrote about mind control murders. Larry FLYNT was one of them. He was shot in Lawrenceville, Georgia, when I was doing the book in Marietta, March the 6th of 78. He flew me out there during that campaign, and he said, I know who was responsible for his shooting. Now, I want to go to, this was in April of 84 for the presidency. Now, James Holmes, I'm just going to show one because there's a list of them, and a lot of them are celebrities. If they have been murdered using mind control, that's what I was writing about in the book, and I had antifreeze put in me April Fool's Day of 80, and with a letter from the FBI on me and everything, U.S. Attorney Harper to me, ongoing investigation, national security involved. Now I want to get to this if I still got enough time on here. When I had gone back to the FBI, and I was almost killed, I went back in 80, I guess it was winter of 82. Let me put this down if I can. And I'm on the street. I can't get the law to work for me. I had been given there was every evidence and everything. Nobody's touched it. I did call, and I asked to speak with Michael Kidd. And the Michael Kidd I had known down there is not the Michael Kidd. I don't know why they switched, well, maybe I do, excuse me, names, but they did. So I called, and he said, well, if you'll come down here, right down here in 20 minutes or so, I'll make sure I get out there and see you. Well, I got down there, and I waited and waited, and they said he couldn't see me. I said, well, I just called. So finally I waited, and he and, I'm going to forget his name. I know his name. I can't think of it right now. Say Jack, or J Jack. Yeah, J Jack or Say Jack. Anyway, both of them came out, but it wasn't the Michael Kidd I knew. But they came out and they said to me, and what is being said, really being said in this role playing, they just told me if I come down that they'd see me. I'd gotten a letter dated June the 23rd, 79, ongoing investigation, and I had antifreeze put in me. I was transported across the state line to Huntsville illegally in the condition I was in. Worked for the district attorney, Fred Simpson, so I could go on now. This is 82, and I'm back on the street. Nothing's been done. So they've just told me on the phone to get down there, and they would see me. Well, they come out, and they role-played. Both of them walked around me and said, well, don't you know that we don't have time for you? We don't have time to come out. I've forgotten the exact words, but while they did it, they're circling around me, they're talking to me. And, well, they spent a good 20 minutes doing that. And then they said, we only have time for heads of state. And look at the time they'd spent with me. So they're telling me I'm a head of state. So in 83, I found out about my kidnapping. My dad's Edward VIII. Have I said this? I did, I think. And I'm heir to the British Crown. That's when I found that out. And Larry McDonald was one of the doctors I wrote about. And his plane, he went down in the KAL that was shot down August the 31st of 83. And Larry FLYNT flew me out there. And I haven't seen him since, although he furnished a car to me, a little Aries. And even that gets into crypt that they use in patterns of mind control that were deliberately done, like the Larry FLYNT shooting, James Holmes of the Grand Theater in Aurora, Colorado. They are telling people that the public, and you call it, they get security in here. I've told this for so long, the planes going down, the pilots can be programmed to veer into Russian airspace like the KAL did. So my